But seriously, this is a big concern, and it seems that there really isn't a logical argument to say, or there's not a consistent argument to say we want a high-density, environmentally friendly housing, and yet we are going to do everything possible to keep people from implementing that on their own property.
And it's not even high. Actually, it's not high density because we're not talking about high-rise apartments here. We're not talking about triplexes or fourplexes. We're talking about a property, somebody making maximum best use of their own property. And so you could have, instead of having a side-by-side duplex, you could have 2 detached dwelling units, and you own them both, and they're on your property. So it's density, and by the way, the front of your house still looks the same. So the neighborhood hasn't changed as you drive down the street. The secondary house goes back on the alley. And by the way, we have a little mini crime wave going on in our alley at the moment. Tires being slashed, windows being broken out. And there's, because nobody lives on the alley. Everyone concentrates their efforts on the front of the property.
That is the problem with alleys.
In the house, so the alley's kind of become kind of a...
We just put in a new garage as a result of concerns about crime, and it only took us 7 months to get through the variance process with the city.
Wow, you guys are speedy. No, you're kidding.
Only 7?
Yeah, only 7 months.
Only 7.
So hopefully
we
we need people on the council to help us out.
Michael, let's hit that issue about the sustainability of homes, because there are some that believe that the only sustainable house, the only environmental friendly house is the one that remains.
Well, it's as I've talked to a lot of people about this, and people...
But not the case with cars. I just want to point that out. We're
We're
supposed to get rid of our clunkers, but we're supposed to keep our house
And the theory is
clunkers.
that the greenest house is the house that's already built.
Yeah.
Right? This is what they say. Well, no, I have news for you. My house is the least green house on the block. It is from the 1920s. It's drafty. The furnace is, well, I don't know, I think from the 1920s, quite frankly. No, it's been upgraded at least once. The fact
our
that
shoes stick to the floor
your
in the
shoes stick to
mudroom
the floor
when
there
it gets
are cracks.
cold.
It is not the most.
She has a mudroom. Did you hear that?
Yeah, mudroom. Sorry.
So there's actually a developer in my neighborhood who is building single-family homes on large lots, which is new in Berkeley, because it used to be that the only way to get your money back out was to build duplexes, and this is what was driving the duplex development in the first place. He's building solar-powered homes. I mean, like zero-energy homes. But the only way to get to that is to build them new.
Yeah,
and so if you scrape my house, it would be a one-time landfill item. But the house that could replace it could save over the next lifetime of the new house could be amazingly energy efficient. And so it's not true. And people want to freeze dry these neighborhoods. It's kind of an odd thing. There are some awful places in my neighborhood. Places like mine, quite frankly.
I think you have a great house.
The home that they occupy.
Well, we have a cute house, but we don't have, we have a house that's outlived its useful lifespan. And so we want some options in how to develop so our land is more valuable than the house.
You talked about opposition, sort of these NIMBY types, but it would seem you have a real opportunity here with the environmental types or the developers to bring together.
One would think.
I mean,
some of these folks, they don't like airplanes because they pollute.
Right.
And I like to go on record as saying that the only green plane is the one that doesn't take off. I want to make myself clear.
Okay.
So what you're right now, you're still in the sausage making process.
It's a sausage
making.
But
when we talk about the specific council members, is there a clear line in the sand where people will not cross? Are there certain things that you're looking at or commitments you want to make here tonight to tell us?
I've learned, I cannot speak for the Denver City Council, but we do
yes,
have downzoning.
You can do it right here.
We have downzoning issues come before us, and I have been in the minority. Jeannie Fox and I have been always voted against. And let me add the key word: hostile downzoning.
Hostile downzoning.
If neighbors want to downzone their own property, that is fine with me. They have that right. They want to put in until they're, when they sell a house, that this house will not be torn down. They want to write that into the deed. That's fine with me. But it's when one neighbor tries to tell another neighbor what to do with their property. This is when I get very concerned about property rights in our city, and that's what I see happening. The downzoning issues in Northwest Denver have divided the neighborhood.
Very much so.
Very much so, and it can get vicious and bitter and personal, and that's what I have seen.
Property is very personal.
Anytime you talk about property rights, watch out, or property values, watch out, because keep one thing in mind: this is the largest single investment that most people will make. And yet then you got some neighbor who thinks they know more than you and telling you what to do with your property.
So is there any hope then? Is this a done deal? Are we going to see wide downzoning?
Not if we can get some people who share our concern about at least having an opportunity to express their views. And so far they've been pretty quiet because, hopefully this postcard that's going out will alert some people to what can happen to their property if
and
they don't make their voices heard.
And how can people contact you if they want to know more about this?
871-0601.
Okay,
and I get contacted quite a bit.
You do get contacted quite a bit. And also, newcodedenver.org, is that where the new maps are?
Newcodedenver.org, and it's interactive, and they do take comment.
Yeah, and the maps are coming out again for the second time around next week.
The second draft comes out next, the second draft comes out next week. Yeah.
And so how can people reach you, Mike? I mean, are you taking an active community role?
Well, what I'm taking a role in trying to just generate attention to the fact that this is a complete downzoning and not taking away one option and replacing it with another. And so my point keeps, and I hate to keep coming back to this point, if you want to deny duplex development, because people hate, by the way, people hate developers and they hate duplexes, all right, a lot of people. And they know what they don't want. They don't want that. They don't want that dumpy old house next door being scraped off and a big duplex going up in its place. But what they forget is that by getting what they don't want, they might also not get what they do want. So if they want a 2-car garage with an apartment over the top of it, they might not get that because they don't want this. Mm-hmm. And so at some point there might have to be a trade-off. There's a trade-off. So you want to do away with duplexes? Fine. Allow accessory dwelling units in your neighborhood. And in fact, the future of urban development is sustainable development. I mean, new urbanism is not going away, and new urbanism requires at least a degree of market-driven density, and you can get that without, as people say, changing the character of neighborhoods. Although, quite frankly, some neighborhoods are in need of a character change because they're full of houses that have outlived their useful lifespan.
In defense
We've just got a couple seconds, so let's finish up.
When you have a scrape-off next to you and it's going through the construction, the 9 to 10 to 1 year construction, it's your lifestyle changes.
That's true.
We get a lot of calls and a lot of complaints about the noises and et cetera. And I could completely understand that. But neighborhoods and cities change.
They do change.
And we have people who don't want change.
Change is hard. Even if we all voted for Barack Obama, change is still hard to come by.
Change is hard.
Well, thank you both so much for being on here today. And if we can just one last time give that website, it's newcodedenver.org. City Councilman Charlie Brown, thank you so much for being with us. And Mike Krause, thank you so much for taking over the property rights aspect of
Not a problem,
for the show.
Do I get your salary?
Yes, that and more.
Okay.
I'm Jessica Corry. Thanks so much for watching Independent Thinking. We'll see you next week.
You jibber jab bamboozle, nooka noozle, bippity bop I mean, you keep on talking, but you don't know where to turn it off.